And we'll just make sure our mics are on. Yep, we're back. Okay. As always, is there a conflict of interest with any of our commissioners with anything that's on our agenda this evening? Seeing none, we will entertain public comments. If there is anybody in the audience that would like to talk to the commission about something that's not on the agenda, now would be your time. And I'm not seeing a foot race to the podium, so we will move forward. Are there any adjustments to the agenda this evening?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Warwick.
I move that we make a couple of changes. We need to remove attorney report items number B and C from the agenda. And we also need to amend the executive session to read as follows. Motion to enter into an executive session pursuant to Idaho Code Section 74-206, subsections 1F and 1D, for the purpose of communicating with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated, and to consider records that are exempt from disclosure as provided in Chapter 1, Title 74, Idaho Code.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Warwick, a second by Commissioner Brooks. Would the secretary call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Allgood?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks?
Yes.
And then that brings us to our consent calendar. Do we have an approval of the amended consent calendar? Or motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Allgood.
A second.
Second by Mr. Brooks. Would the secretary call the roll?
Commissioner Allgood?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Very good. That brings us to our update reports. The first would be from RRC Contractors. Ophelia, have we heard anything from Mr. Cooper? Okay, thank you. Next would be from TS Development. Good evening, Sean.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Chairman, Commissioners, our update is that we have submitted for permitting with the city. I believe we did that right before the end of the year. And I was just informed that we have received the Army Corps of Engineer approval for moving a stormwater drain that we need to move prior to kind of starting the horizontal groundwork. And I think they're moving along with that. So that's kind of where we're at with our update, but very exciting that we submitted for permitting. It's exciting to us anyways.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Maybon? Mr. Moore.
Mr. Chairman, Sean, thanks for coming again tonight, man. 100% attendance, right? Or at least 98%.
Yeah, I missed you guys, so I came back.
Hey, Roger Brooks was just here, and he flashed what looked like a building over there on that lot. Is that like an actual of what's going up?
I was not here when he flashed that up, so it's kind of like diving into something. I don't know how deep it is, but I think it was one of the renderings that we provided. So I think it was in our design review package.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It looked pretty cool.
And I'd just like to point out, I guess, that with the Roger Brooks's presentation, I think every dollar we invest in downtown is like essentially a farmland preservation dollar, because if we make it more livable down here and develop down here, then we can save the farmland that everybody loves so much. So that's one benefit of that as well. So anyways, any more questions?
Any other questions for Sean? Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next report is from Base Layer. Who's speaking for the handsome three? Hello, Shane.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
First of all, Mr. Chairperson and Commissioners, thank you for your time this evening. I know that we all have other things going on in our lives, and Happy New Year. I do have a presentation, I think, if you wouldn't mind. Can you run the, this one? See if it works. It does, great. Okay, so tonight I'll go over several things. One, and I think this came up, Commissioner Moore had a conversation with Santi and was asking how things are going, and so I wanted to give a marketing presentation just to give you a heads up that we're fully marketing the property. We have the, and as you can see, this is kind of the cover sheet of our marketing brochure, but we've been out on the market now for, gosh, close to 90 days. We've had multiple groups that have expressed interest. We've proactively gotten this in front of several groups that are active in this market in the Treasure Valley. And we haven't had any takers yet. However, we've got some good feedback, and I'll share some of that with you all. As you can see, we're trying to capture really every different aspect. Through our development agreement and our entitlement, we're allowed to use the property for different things. And I think when you have an industrial property, with some of the zoning that we've accomplished through our work with the city, we're able to capture things like car washes, RV and vehicle sales, which we've had a group that was active some time ago. They've decided to hold off for now. Big box retailers or big box industrial distribution centers, banks, all the way down to quick serve restaurants. And so I think as we get further along in this process, and I'll go over some of that, I think that we should be able to capture hopefully some end users for this area this year. As you can see, we've positioned the property as an industrial piece for an overall larger end user and or developer to come into the market, and that's where we've seen a lot of the interest level is from larger end users, and developers not as much, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but I think we're trying to just get as much good information out to the market as we can about the property and the area, the Treasure Valley, and really Idaho. We've identified this as a freight cluster corridor. So if you look at this slide here, it shows how freight travels throughout the Treasure Valley. And as you can see, we're right at the edge of a freight cluster in this market. So as much as Micron is drawing attention to the eastern part of the valley, and we've got the 10-mile interchange, which is now really being captured in that project. Gosh, that's how I met Miguel, back in 2007. We worked on that project together. So some of those things you're starting to see come to fruition. We're really trying to paint the picture that this is the core of the Treasure Valley as a whole from a freight standpoint. What we're working on right now is a portion of Green Road being vacated, and we hope to be on the city council agenda in February, hopefully early February. If not, we could get pushed out to mid-February. But the goal there would be to, and I'll show a picture that shows that Green Road is really not usable as much anymore now that the Maverick gas station has gone in. They've rerouted that traffic, and I don't know if you've been out there or not, but it looks really nice. I think that this area, with that Maverick going in, is prime for development. Here's a picture of the Maverick as it was under construction, and also the Spring Lake Drive brand new section. You can kind of see that. We're trying to get some updated photography, and we'll get that in our brochure when it comes around. I took this picture just the other day as I stopped in to grab a pizza. Finally, there's some services out in that area, and it's kind of nice to be able to fuel up and use the restroom and grab a piece of pizza. This is the Spring Lake Drive extension that, as you can see, it kind of dead ends now. Green Road is out in front of the property, but all the traffic travels back to Highway 2026 from Spring Lake Drive, and it gets used quite a bit. I was surprised at the amount of traffic that's actually traveling in and out of there into that Maverick. This is a section of property that we own to 2026. Part of the vacation, what our goal is to create some retail pads along this corridor and hopefully use some of the energy that Maverick's brought to the area to be able to progress some retail users. I think quick serve restaurant would be a very natural Jason O'Very in my office, who used to run corporate real estate for Albertsons Corporation, and I had a discussion the other day, and he seems to think that could be kind of the next thing that would fall in line with this, and I have a tendency to agree with that. So this will be the next thing that we do. There's some things on site that we would like to clean up. We're going to continue to clean the site up. We're not going to farm any longer. We're looking at, cleaning just that up as much as possible to make it look like an area that's prime for development. I think the power lines, and we can discuss that at some point, would be something that, would be nice to take down and potentially bury underground at some point. So the current marketing efforts that we have, we're on Crexley, LoopNet, CoStar, both nationally and internationally. Local brokers, we have a list of local brokers in the market that we do business with every day. Those folks are all aware of it. We've had several of them reach out to us, and I think we've been shortlisted with at least one. But the short list is, 10 active properties in the market. So we're hopeful, but they've been on site, and the feedback so far has been pretty good. The holidays hit, and so we haven't heard much from them since. But Lee & Associates, our national network, and our local team, we have the Lee Network. We are an international corporation, the largest private broker-owned brokerage firm in the world. And so we have offices, in Canada, the United States, and Europe now. And so we get this information out to those groups for those that might be coming in from out of state or out of the country. Social media, we do social media campaigning both locally and in our national platform. So some considerations that we'd like to visit a little bit about would be some of the things I mentioned. We're cleaning up the site, the farming operation will cease. The vacation of Green Road, so that's up and coming, and I think that we should know more on that in February. The public road flexibility question has come up from a couple of different developers. One that's large, the name you'd recognize, they're in the valley. We have a personal relationship with this developer, and so I presented this site to them. The feedback that they had was the roadway that's being proposed to them was a detriment. They look at building larger format buildings. We let them know that we felt like there was some level of flexibility in that, and I think we've gotten feedback from Rob and his team that there's some flexibility there. So we're not letting that be a deterrent to growth and development. I don't think that they have continued interest in it. They have a lot of inventory in the market right now, and they're trying to absorb it. And so that may change over time, but that's yet to be seen. As far as like city financial commitment and utilities, it would be nice to understand kind of where we're at in that process. I know that utility-wise, I think there were some discussions surrounding some water wells and things like that, and it'd be great to just have a refresh on some of that. If we could maybe have Rob give us a refresh so that we can make sure that we communicate correctly with the market, that'd be great. And then the overhead power lines, I think I mentioned, but I know that Stephen Jenkins has left, and that's a detriment to all of us. He was really solid, and I wish him well at Idaho Power. I'm sure he'll do well there. I think, from our perspective, it would be great to understand, like, what is that role coming up and who might be able to fill that, and, supplement what we're doing on the marketing side from the Urban Renewal Agency standpoint too. I know you're not here to answer my questions, but those are just questions that we have, so.
Great. Thank you, Shane.
Of course.
Rob, can you touch on the water situation real quick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have been working, as you know, that entire area is currently served only by one source, and that's the water that comes across the Chicago Street Bridge. We have successfully, I think, negotiated with Caldwell Housing Authority to start a test well up on their site. And we have an easement that we have put in place. They've given us permission to go ahead and get started. The one last thing we had was to make sure we had a discharge location. You have to do a pump test for 7 days when you do a test well. And we got approval just 2 weeks ago from the irrigation company out there to discharge into their facility. So we are currently working on, we actually have just selected a consultant, now that I remember. I was notified today, and so that consultant is going to be doing a very preliminary design for that test well, and then we will select a contractor to get that test well started. As you may recall, that is budgeted currently in the city budget, and then after the project or during the project, we were going to look at maybe Urban Renewal reimbursing back the city water department if the funds are available. Otherwise, we're going to push forward with the funds in the water department budget.
Thank you. Shane, does that help?
Yeah, helps a lot. Yeah, thank you, Ron.
Okay. Any other questions for Shane and his team? Very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
Our next update report is from 7th and Main. Good evening, Dean.
How are you guys?
Good.
Happy New Year. Nothing really to update on 7th and Main, outside of we might be in a new agreement or working towards a new agreement to allow parking on the Phase 2 area, which we're excited about, as we fenced it after our last agreement, but it'd be good to open it up and relieve some pressure here downtown. Outside of that, I haven't caught up after the first of the year in terms of what might happen with that site and the adjoining site. So I'm going to stick around and hopefully be able to catch up with some of you folks later on. But if there's any questions, happy to answer them while I'm here.
Any questions for Dean? Doesn't look like it.
All right, great. Thank you.
Oh,
Mr.
excuse me, I'm
Chairman.
sorry. Mr. Moore?
Dean, hey, thanks for taking my call the other day about
Definitely.
parking on that. I know we had an agreement. Well, is that something, Mark, we were going to go over tonight, the addition of that? Okay, so appreciate your cooperation on that. I think it definitely give us a few more things to show people where they can park and get them out and get them circulating money, right?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
Thanks.
Next update report is from Wolfpack. Is it Wolfpack in the hall? Yep.
As you know, Roger loves to visit, and so do I, so thank you, and sorry for making you wait. But I'm Carrie Smith, for the record, and thank you for allowing us this opportunity to give you an update. I still don't have a fantastic update for you. In the last couple months since I've been here in person, we have only had one lead again. I'll put it on the record, it was an antique shop, which we've had plenty of those in Canyon County, City of Caldwell specifically. And so supposedly they did speak with staff. They require a special use permit. And I know personally it's not something that I would find as the most beneficial use in that location. So I'm not sure what the dancer family who owns a building is going to do. But as far as, and that building is released, so technically I don't have to give any updates on that anymore. But that's important because as long as that building continues to sit empty, it's very hard to justify building another structure. We have reached out to a couple of different businesses individually asking if they would be interested. Also, as you know, we can't sell it speculatively, so we have had people that have called and said, can I buy it? And I said, do you have a use? No. We can't do that because of our agreement with you. And so, again, we just have a lot of dead ends, and it's been tricky. I have been there since we tore the buildings down originally on that lot, and I would have never guessed it would be this hard. We have been very negotiable in price. We've repeatedly told people, let's just figure out what the costs are and come up with a fair rate, and then we still don't hear back from people. So doom and gloom, and I love Caldwell, but that is a tricky piece. So would love any feedback that you guys have, but at this point, we're kind of sitting on it. My signs are going to be coming down as an FYI, by the way. So you might not see me again.
Thank you, Carrie. Dave?
Mr. Chairman, Carrie, thanks for coming tonight. So if yours
Absolutely.
are coming down, whose are going up?
The building was permitted for, events. And so the dancer family is going to try and market that space and see if that is a, actual use that's needed and see how it goes. And so I'm definitely supporting them. I'll still be involved. I mean, I've been longtime friends with them. I'll still be helping. Ophelia and I just visited about possibly someone on the grass lot. So I'm still going to be involved, but we're going to give it just a little bit of a break and see if we can.
Yeah.
He just spent $80,000 doing the build out on that space, just
Yeah.
as a heads up.
Yeah.
was
Sounds
a
like a
lot.
good savings account.
Uh-huh.
Good investment. So my next question, what's going on with the grassy lot?
Yeah, I just was talking about that, nothing,
Nothing at all?
no.
How come?
We have gotten, like I said, zero activity on it. I have made multiple phone calls. We have had people that want to buy it for speculation and hold on to it. As you know, we can't even do that. So that conversation dies. I've had a couple of people that were possibly interested, but I really am not getting return phone calls once we have the initial conversation. So-
What's the drawback to that place?
Well, I don't believe it, but they say it's parking. But, I mean, if it's worth walking to, you walk to it. And the movie theater numbers are doing really well. I've seen them. Obviously, all of our economy and numbers were doing better a couple years ago, but the numbers are still very steady. And so they're doing good. Happy Teriyaki is doing good.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
well,
know.
thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Sorry, but thank you.
Next update report is from the Canyon County Fair. Mark, were we able to hear anything this afternoon?
I did. I traded emails with Diana today. She is in, I think, Utah at a ski racing event for her son. She said she had no update on whether projects are going forward. I also, as you'll recall from our last meeting, I sent the county a letter saying that we needed to really wrap that up by the end of the current fiscal year. I got an almost immediate response from Diana saying she agreed that there's time to spend the $218,000 that remains on that project. But I haven't gotten any formal response from the county. And that was really what I pinged her about today. Can we both entities execute resolutions that we're gonna have this done so we can get it off the books? So I just haven't had any response on that. She did forward my inquiry to Zach Wesley. They're apparently working on it, but I didn't hear from Zach on that issue today.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Allgood?
Mark, just clarification, what exact response are we waiting for? Because that, again, that's one we want to get done like
Yeah.
yesterday. So what are we waiting for exactly?
The agreement that we have with the county contemplated that it would terminate when the project was done, or when the parties agreed to terminate it. And it's drug on, long enough now that what I have said to the county, what I said in that letter, was, we need to agree to end this. It was over $2 million that was originally allocated for that. We're down to about 10% of that or less. And Diana has been working to try to, put together a project on Gabiola Field. But I think we just need to put a deadline on it. That's the response I'm waiting for. Will the county agree to go ahead and get this wrapped up in the current fiscal year? That's what I haven't heard back on.
And I had a conversation with the chairman after last meeting. Is there any continued vote that we need to do to make the design that Ms. Center's been talking about on that wall? Is there anything else we need to do, or are we just waiting for them?
No, my last communication with her that I recall was that she needed to, it's city property, so she needed to make a pitch to the city council to do that. And she was in the process of trying to get the other major players there, the rodeo and the college, sort of on the same page. I think she told me that she'd had those conversations and they were positive, and she just needed to go to the city council. But there's nothing for the agency to do.
I've had conversations with the rodeo, and they're all in. I haven't talked to the college yet, but again, we've had this, we'd love to get it finished up, and, you know, so it would have to go to city council for final approval is what we'll need to see on the,
Correct.
thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Mr. Chairman, Mark, so you brought up some gentleman's name. What do you,
Oh, Zach Wesley?
yeah, what's his role?
He's the attorney for the county, one of the attorneys in the prosecutor's office that handles the civil work.
And we're waiting for what from him?
Well, I don't want to speak about him. What Diana told me was that she forwarded my request to Zach today. You know, to where are we at, you know, where's the county at in terms of evaluating this request that both parties do resolutions to establish an end date. And he didn't get back to me. But
Gotcha.
again, I don't mean to suggest he's dragging his feet.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is this, we're January, soon to be February, next meeting, and then March. What's your plan for this as for follow-up to this so that we can stop hounding you?
Well, you know, I certainly don't have any control over moving it forward, but I don't know all what Diana's maybe dealing with, but for several months now, it's been that she just needed to pitch it to the city council and get their approval since they own the property.
Right.
The city owns the property, and so I'll be pushing her that way, and I'll let her know we probably need to have, you know, a meaningful conversation in
Yeah,
February.
gosh,
But
I think
we got
prices are
partners
going
here.
up on everything, so.
I'm sorry.
I said prices are going up on everything, so sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no,
Mark.
We've got a partner here, and we just need to hear from him.
Mr. Brooks, do you have anything to?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just make the comment that
Sure.
a lot of this was in the lap of city council, but we've also had an election in the process to kind of mix things up, so we wanted to wait and see how that shook out. So if city council is open to this, it should move forward very quickly. If city council is not interested, then we're not going to continue to push it, in my opinion.
Commissioner Brooks, do you know if Diana's taken the lead on getting this in front of the council, or is she
That-
waiting on somebody at the city, or?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I can ask her, but,
Okay, I'll reach out to her as well.
okay.
But it sounds like maybe it's ready to be pitched to the council. I mean, I think she's.
think so.
Okay. Well, I think
No, not
she
really.
just reached out to him to try to help because she was out of town. I don't
I'm just sitting here for 8, 9 months wondering what we're gonna do.
agree. I know.
All right, the next update report is from Lee and Pontifex Capital, and I'm not seeing Lee this evening. Ophelia, do you have any update on that? Okay.
Mr. Chairman? I've got a brief update on that. Lee approached me at some point. His plan, I don't know, maybe we all know this. His plans had changed away from the cottages. We let him know that that wasn't gonna fly under either the urban renewal plan or the reimbursement agreement that's been prepared for Site B. He's got his own financial reasons why he needs to do something different. He understands it's not gonna qualify as an urban renewal project, and he was amenable to just having the whole area terminated. I had that conversation with him sometime in December. I don't remember exactly when it was. I told him, look, that was a lot of work to set it up. Let's wait and make sure that this is really a dead deal. I called him on Friday, I believe, and just to confirm that, and he said, yeah, he goes, I'm not gonna do the cottages, I'm going to do fourplexes, I think is what he told me. And so I will be working to terminate the area.
Okay. Questions from any of the commissioners? Thanks for that report, Mark. This brings us to our first item of old business, our only item of old business. It's to consider resolution approving the Fifth Amendment to the DDA from April 27, 2021, between Urban Renewal Agency and DPRE LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Dean alluded to this, and you've got that draft Fifth Amendment in the packet. The idea was that the Phase 2 site that's adjacent to Tillian could be used potentially for parking, here at least as a temporary use. We had amended the DDA about a year ago, or maybe just earlier in 2025. There were concerns at that time about it being used by Tillian tenants who had parking that was designated for them over by the railroad tracks. And so the agency requested, and Dean agreed, to fence it off and not use it for parking. So we have a DDA amendment that prohibits this use. The amendment that you have before you tonight essentially undoes that. It takes away the prohibition of using that property for parking. In talking with staff, and I traded emails with Dean, there are going to be details to work out over what parking actually looks like on the site. You know, the fence can come down, but there's potentially grading. There are city requirements for temporary uses. We're going to have to work on issues of who uses it and when, and what the restrictions, if any, are. Who's going to pay for the insurance on it, the potential liability issues. So staff has some work to do to put together really a parking agreement. So the only thing you're doing tonight is indicating that it's not a violation of the DDA if that property is used for parking. If that's approved, then staff will work with Dean, and we'll get something in place as soon as we can. But this amendment doesn't purport to answer all the questions that we'll have to deal with regarding parking.
Mr. Ogden?
So Mark, is the idea it would be open to the public, or it would be Tillian parking?
Well, I think you tell us. I think that what's been contemplated is that it'll be open to the public. It's my understanding.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be a lot more amenable to that than just adding to Tillian parking, since, you know, they have the spots across the street. But if it's open to the public, that would, again, help parking for a while.
Yeah, and could be some city expense in getting it set up. Commissioner Moore, I know you talked to Dean, and we can have him come up. Was that kind of the idea, the concept?
Yeah, I guess open it up to anybody and everybody so that we could have a little bit more parking and a little bit more enhancement, and a few more people down here with less issue of parking.
Okay. So if this passes, we'll move in that direction.
Okay, do we have a motion in regard to this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I got a quick question. So
Sure.
are we looking at trying to make it resemble kind of like what the Bennett Machine Shop parking is? Is that what we're going to try to get at?
I assume so. I mean, we'll need to work with Rob and his team, and
Yeah.
Robin in planning and zoning, that there are some requirements for that temporary parking
Yeah.
use. I think there's some practical requirements about what the surface needs to look like, but I think there's also some regulations, and so
Okay.
that's my assumption.
Yeah, and with that fence coming down, that means Dean's no longer financially obligated to pay for the rent on that fence, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the insurance that's on it, that's gonna need to be put on the one area that Dean elaborated to, who's gonna pay that?
I think we need to work that out. I think both parties are gonna wanna be covered.
Yeah, do we know what that's gonna cost?
I don't. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, that's all the questions I had. Thanks, Mark.
Mr. Allgood?
Yeah, and you probably can't answer this tonight, but if there's gonna be expense to the city or urban renewal, when we say temporary, do we have an idea what temporary looks like? Are we spending thousands of dollars for 3 months or 12, you know? That's something I'd like to know about at some time.
I can't answer that question. The temporary use under city code is limited to 1 year. Under the current DDA, Dean has to be moving dirt by December 1st of this year. So from a practical standpoint, it would be over then. But you're asking all the right questions, and one of the options that you have is to just pass on this until the next meeting and have us work out these details. It came up kind of late, and I know we've dumped things on you late that were problematic. My thought was, you know, we're just removing an impediment so that we can discuss this and try and move it forward. So I apologize for not having all the details in place.
Mr. Allgood?
Mr. Chair, I think we should take legal advice and just put this off to the next meeting so that we have all the details. Is that kind of your advice, Mark?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I mean,
think
I'm fine with going ahead with this.
Here's, yeah, and I think that's kind of what staff needs to know, because it does require an amendment to the DDA as a threshold matter for even doing this. And so if we sat down and negotiated some kind of an agreement with Dean for parking, and then came back and the agency said, you know, we're not really interested in amending the DDA, it would all be for naught. So I don't care if we pass on this. I would want to know now if it didn't look like this was anything that you were interested in, because that might govern, you know, we wouldn't try to work out an agreement if it wasn't going to fly.
Ms. August, or Ms. Warwick, excuse me.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd actually like to remove the impediment to you having those discussions, so I move we approve the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Warwick and a second by Mr. Cole. Any other final comments?
Mr. Chairman, I think Dean wants to talk.
I was just coming up here for support, so I didn't know if there's any other questions that you needed, but we're, you know, as a part of the community, we know that there is a pressure situation in regards to parking, and we're here to help. We're not proceeding to do any work until the end of this year by contract, so there is a valuable piece of ground downtown that could be used to support and take care of some of the pressure. With that said, how much investment does the city want to make to have it be temporary? That's to be heard. We're not intending to invest in the property until we actually do a development, but we're ready to here to help.
Thank you, Dean.
So, Mr. Hilty, if we're looking at December 1st on the other thing there, I mean, gosh, it could roll into 2027 and we'd still be okay, right? I mean, we would have ample parking through next winter. We wouldn't.
No, I think,
December 1st, you're saying everything's got to be renegotiated.
well, December 1st, Dean's going to be under construction,
Correct.
so we
We're
can't
hoping.
be parking there.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Okay, we have a motion before us. Would the secretary call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Allgood,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Again, this month, Ray Lynn is not able to be here with us. Was everybody able to go over the financials that were provided by Ray Lynn and Rochelle? Were there any questions? Mr. Moore?
Mr. Chairman, I guess my question is the City of Caldwell Economic Development amount, the $17,812.75, those contributions. Now that Stephen's gone, I mean, is it that money just carry over? What happens there?
Ophelia, do you want to address that for us?
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Yes, Mr. Moore, I will follow up with Raylene on that because it is a personnel matter. It probably should be dealt in-house, so I am more than happy to connect with you. But she, I believe, is out until the 20th, so I'll connect with you after, if that's okay with you. Okay.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to receive the financial reports as presented?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Warwick, a second by Mr. Allgood. Would the secretary call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Allgood,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Did I get that backwards? It was Warwick and Allgood.
Yes.
Okay.
Brings us to our companion to that, the monthly cash reconciliation report. Any questions or comments there? Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Warwick?
I move we approve the treasury reports.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Warwick. Is there a second?
A second.
A second by Mr. Brooks. Would the secretary call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Allgood,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Okay, brings us to our economic development reports. Good evening, Ophelia.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. So we'll make this short and quick. So we'll go ahead and start with our URA downtown property. So we do have that RFP on schedule to be distributed in May, and that's for 1119 South Kimball Street, and that's Side A. So I'm still engaging with interested parties, and that's going well. So I'll get that RFP probably in your hands next month so that you can review and provide feedback for me before I send that out to the community. And then I did also want to follow up on Side A. During the last meeting, we brought up fencing, and I just wanted to just give you an update on that. So we are very lucky. Our friends here were able to clean that lot up. So if you drive by there, it's very clean in that Side A. They also were able to remove the equipment that was on site, and that was street property, so that has been removed. We can also follow the same process that Mark mentioned regarding allowing parking there if you would like to move that conversation forward. We do only own 0.10 of an acre. The rest of the property adjacent to that is privately owned. Now, Mr. Kenzenga is happy to have that conversation in regards to parking, and that would be a conversation that more than likely we'll have to do with the city on that. So that, but that site is insured currently by Urban Renewal, and again, the fencing conversation came from the previous administration. So that's where we're at in terms of an update for that site. I'll go ahead and move forward to general updates. So I have spoken to the businesses, and they've had a great year in the downtown. So it's been busy for them, and I'm excited. And I did come out here a couple of times, and boy, was it busy. So I'm glad and excited for them. And then I did get a note from our friends at Destination Caldwell, and they would like to share the following regarding downtown updates. DC, according to Placer AI, it looks like the business improvement district, so not just necessarily the downtown, but the business improvement district, generated 3.6 million visits from 579,300 visitors, averaging 6.3 visits per guest with an 82-minute dwell time, reflecting a 3.6% year-over-year increase in foot traffic and strong repeat visitations. 375,000 guests visited Indian Creek Plaza for over 20 signature events. Movie nights, third-party programming held on the plaza and around downtown continue to bolster foot traffic for the area businesses. So excited to share that with you all. And then just a couple of other items that I wanted to share with you tonight is we have hired a specialist. They will be starting on the 26th, so in a couple of weeks, and we will have them focus on business retention expansion. So you will get a report from them in March, and that will be in regards to business retention expansion. That will be their focus. And then we do have a director opening, and that is tentative to be filled by March 1st. So we're excited. We're going to miss Stephen dearly, of course, but we can find somebody to hopefully fill his shoes. And then in terms of what you can expect next, you'll receive a couple emails from me regarding training after I visited with a couple of you that are not on the council. It appears that you have not taken the URA Tax Commission training, and so I have reached out to them. Instead of sending you all to Coeur d'Alene, we can bring them down here for a 2-hour training. So we'll do that here in the near future. So I'll connect with you guys and kind of give you a heads up so you can add that to your calendar. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you may have.
Thanks, Ophelia. Mr. Moore?
Mr. Chairman, Ophelia, who did you say that we hired? Who was the individual?
Brian Kidda.
For what position?
The business specialist for economic development.
Tell me about a business specialist for economic.
So they are backfilling my position. So they'll be focused on the
okay.
business retention and expansion.
Okay. So with that question, I have a question. So it's looking like you're going to be tasked maybe with a little bit of 2 positions with the departure of Stephen Jenkins. How do you see those responsibilities? How do you see those duties with your current tasks? How do you see opportunities, current relationships with the departure of Stephen? What's this going to do to things? Because I'm concerned.
Yeah, we have big shoes to fill, no doubt. But I do have a great team. Here we have Haley Hart and Rob, who have really been instrumental in kind of helping with some of those little pieces, like Site A and what have you. And we also have great partners throughout the state that we have great partnership with. We have Boise Valley Economic Partnership that we work closely with. So I'm able to tag and ask them for help, and they're able to assist. We also have Robin, our community development director as well, that was formerly an economic development director at another city, so she's helping as well. So we just have a great team here at the city of Caldwell that understands that we have a lot of work in economic development, understands that Stephen did a phenomenal job, and that we have, Lee and Associates mentioned, we need to make sure that they know that there's a contact still available for them in case they have any of those questions. So just a team effort is what we're doing to kind of move forward until the position's filled.
So the second part of that question was, what shortcomings, what do you see that maybe we could, that we're gonna expect? Is there gonna be an issue with not having Stephen around? I mean, how are we gonna direct people? How's all that dialogue gonna take place?
Yeah, no, Stephen's great. Stephen's great. When he left, he did reach out to his contacts and did let them know that, look, we'll go ahead and be moving on, but we still have Ophelia here, so you do have a contact. And like I said, I'll just work closely with our team to make sure that those questions are answered, that those projects are moving along. And the great thing about the work that he did was that we do have a lot of commercial and industrial development that's already going to come online here in the next couple of 4 years due to the great work that the team did. So I think hopefully we'll just kind of be moving along.
Yeah.
But thank you, appreciate your concerns.
So I have another question.
Sure.
A few years ago, gosh, I want to say it was 2022, I think Jim and Mark were privy to that evening. Brad, City Councilman Brad Doty asked for some information about current developers, current relationships that were in the city, that maybe they owe concessions. I asked Committeeman Doty, had he ever heard anything back on that? He did not. So I want to follow that up, and I want to see what some of these things might be, if there are any, and I think that might be something that we follow up with Ray Lynn.
Okay, yeah.
And Mark.
Okay.
And the chairman. Do you remember that, when he asked for
I do.
that information? I don't think there was anything that was ever followed up.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's some unpaid tabs that are out there, unpaid bills, but I think it's something of importance that we should probably look into.
Okay. I will look into that, and then I'll probably follow up with you via email. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Allgood?
Yeah, Ophelia, I just wanted to follow up real quickly on the Site A thing. So I was by there, it's been a couple weeks ago now, and there were still cars parked on it. Is it blocked off where nobody can park on it, and what's the surface, or is it still parking? What's happening there now? You said it's cleaned up.
Yep, it's open.
It's open for parking.
It is open. Now, there are barricades on the Arthur side, just so people don't come in through the sidewalk. So what's been happening in the past is you have those large trucks that will access, because it's not a designated parking lot and there's no, just anything indicating where the stalls should be or what that looks like. People tend just to go over the sidewalks, what we've seen in the past. And so there's some barricades to protect, I'm assuming, pedestrians and those vehicles on there. But in terms of what it looks like right now, it's just a clean dirt lot that it's beautified compared to what it was a couple weeks ago. So similar to what you see here next door to Calvary is what you're gonna see right now on Site A, where when we were last here, there was equipment there was some potholes, for a better term, there's mud holes there. Those have all been filled, so it's been graded. So that's what that looks like now.
I'm kind of debating whether I like the idea of parking there or just keeping it clean and open.
Well, let me give you testimony. So Friday, we parked on it. Last week, I made a phone call to the mayor and asked why we couldn't get that cleaned up and have something done with it. And he got it taken care of. And it doesn't look like it's completely done, but the mud hole and that was compacted. Everything looks pretty well. Myself and two business clients on Friday, we parked right there. We walked across to the Grit 2C and we had lunch. One of the person that drove us there was 83 years old. We drove around, could not find a spot, and that one opened up, so we parked on it. And I think it works pretty nice.
Does it?
Yeah,
Works great.
it's been graded, but the larger lot over there is not ours. It's unfortunately privately owned, so we'll just take your direction. If you want to move, like Mark said, in that area, then let us know, and we'll move and have that discussion.
Mr. Cole?
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. So, as I recall, the last time we talked about this, is there was a proposal, and I think Hallie gave it to us, of around $7,000 to put a fence around there.
That's
And
correct.
the other issue was we were gonna get some type of estimate on what it would be to put gravel on that. So is that what's going on?
So the fencing was to completely fence the entire, our site, our small site, 0.10 acres, and the neighboring site as well. And we got permission from the neighbor, and that was from direction from the previous administration. The previous administration wanted to fence that area to, again, protect from a lot of damage happening to that lot. So that was what you heard last time we were here in regards to that fencing. We did go back, and our streets department worked with, Laura Construction to get a quote on what it would be to grade. Was it just the 0.10, Haley, or was it the entire, the 0.10? The entire lot, which means our little lot, our 0.10, and the adjacent lot, and that came to $5,000.
$7,000 for the fence, as I recall.
Correct.
$5,000 for that.
Correct.
So we're doing nothing now, we just had a great.
Right, yeah, because it was at the city's direction to get that cleaned up. They paid for that bill.
Okay, thank you.
Committeeman Tom, it looks great.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Ophelia.
Absolutely.
Brings us to our current project list. Did everybody get a copy of that by email? Any questions on any of those projects? We've talked about the county's building.
I do. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moore?
So this question is for Ophelia. Ophelia, the wayfinding project, I see that we've got that down for this spring or whenever it is. I'm just wondering, is it going to get done by then, or is it going to go to the fall? What can we do to follow up on that? It seems like we've had numerous things for the last, what, two years or more on getting those signs up. So I'm wondering what we can do to, as Mr. Brooks just said, they're sitting there. He showed us the poles and everything, and we need to have them up.
Yeah, I did get an email from Danae. I did ask her for an update, and I'll just go ahead and just give you an overview of her email, and then I'll forward that over to you guys tomorrow. So she does state, and this came from, let's see, an email was sent today, and she said so 7 wayfinding signs have been installed, 9 parking directional signs have been installed, 12 pedestrian directional banners have been installed. Currently, since October, there have been 46 fabricated brackets completed by our wayfinding vendor for the pedestrian directional arm blade signs. We are making steady progress on installing the 31 16-foot posts, and we have 6 new signs, breakaway footing mounts, pour, and ready to sign installation. There are 2 locations of the wayfinding signage plan where underground utilities presented a challenge. We are taking a look at these sites with the vendor to come up with an alternative solution. Once the 31 16-foot posts are installed, the plan will be complete. Our plan is to have completed by spring 2026. And that's when you will see that, I believe, $57,000 being taken up. And then we will be at 0 with the project completed. So spring of this year.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Brings us to our attorney reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Initially, on the central area, I think you all obviously know that was approved shortly after our last urban renewal meeting in December by the city council. As far as the next steps go, we learned and we have talked a little bit about the Lee Jenke area. Probably a better example is the north area. When these project areas are in their infancy, it's a little hard to get things going because there is an increment. And so the kinds of incentives that the Urban Renewal Agency can offer are not really available for practical reasons early on. Certainly would have TIF agreements that could be plugged in. There are several parcels, some large parcels that are undeveloped in that area, and those certainly could be marketed by economic development staff for users, and so that's the kind of activity I anticipate going forward. But in terms of the bulk of the projects that are slated for that area, the road improvements, the street improvements, those kinds of things, it's going to be hard to get that initiated without at least some increment coming in, and once that's built up some, there might be the ability to finance some bonds and so forth. But for now, we'll do what we can, I think, but there's not a lot going on there. Things like what Mr. Jenke would do, having developers come in to redevelop or build new things are certainly things we can work with them on the TIF agreements. I'd also point out the law provides that if somebody is going to challenge the creation of an urban renewal area, they need to do it within 30 days. That would begin to run about the middle of December when the ordinance was published. It's about to expire. I certainly haven't heard anything there's people who, for political or policy reasons, aren't entirely happy with it, but I certainly haven't heard any legal challenges to it. And the time for bringing those is rapidly diminishing. Pardon me?
Published date was December 23rd.
Be 30 days from that. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on the central project area? All right, skipping down. As that hearing came before City Council at the hearing and in the days prior, there was a lot of public comment, lots of emails, lots of discussion. I suspect lots of Facebook comments. I don't pay any attention to that, and so I don't know. But there were some allegations that maybe some things that had gone on prior in the east area were illegal. That was the way that I first understood those allegations, and that, of course, popped up on my radar. And I wanted to address that tonight and talked with the chairman and wanted to let you know that I kind of have looked into that. The allegations, near as I could tell, centered on just 3 projects. And again, these are east area projects that have long since been completed. I don't think they're on your project list anymore and have not been for quite some time. There were improvements at the Caldwell High School, the remodeling of the train depot, and baddie cages at the College of Idaho. We talked about this a little bit at the last meeting and how it was that the Urban Renewal Agency was cooperating with some of these other districts, and how that East Urban Renewal Plan that was adopted in 1998 differs from the plans that we're adopting now. And originally, that 1998 plan that I was not involved in creating, it was very broad, and at the time, urban renewal projects could be characterized in the plan in very general terms. You could say, we want to use urban renewal increment dollars to improve recreational opportunities in this area. We want to use them for historic preservation, those kinds of things, and to facilitate projects important to other taxing districts. And then that particular point was made more fine by the 2014 amendment. And I'm repeating myself a little bit from the last meeting, but I think this context is important. The urban renewal, the east area was extended. It originally had a sunset date, I believe, in 2015 or 2016. It was extended through 2022 in order to continue financing some of the bonded debt that started early in that area. There was recognition by, I think, primarily Mayor Nancolis that might be problematic for some of these taxing districts because there had been significant growth and there was at that point significant increment. And of course, when the agency sunset, that increment would go back to those taxing districts. And so he then went out and met, I think he and LJ went out and met with those taxing districts and said, look, we understand you're going to have to wait, but it's important for us to continue this for these reasons. We'd like your cooperation. And in exchange for that cooperation on not objecting to an extension of the urban renewal area, we will try to account for what increment would have gone to you. And then when it comes time to use that increment to do urban renewal projects, we'll consult with you about things that you need. It's a level of flexibility that existed in that plan that doesn't exist anymore. But he was able to sell that pitch to those taxing districts, and the amendment went through at the end of 2014 without any objection. But it is the reason why the county had the administration building constructed. The county had the fair building constructed. The school district had some improvements to its athletic facilities. The train depot was improved and again, that was kind of a city-directed project because the city receives those tax dollars as well. College of Idaho, not a taxing district, but as I recall, that batting cage project was something that was seen as generally available as a recreational facility, and to my knowledge, that's how the college has used it. As a footnote to this discussion, the extension, I should say, of that east area, in retrospect, right, looking back on it from today, was absolutely the right thing to do. Because if you look at the development that occurred downtown and the development that occurred in Sky Ranch, those two places in particular, since 2015, that's really the miracle of that east area. Again, urban renewal has its detractors. I'm not going to change all of that, but the people who have invested here will tell you that urban renewal agency was integral and important in that decision. But those projects that were called out were not illegal. They were not illegal then. They probably would not be something we could do now that the law has changed. But all those changes to the urban renewal law over the years always grandfathered in existing plans. There then was question about whether or not those were appropriate, right? So maybe the allegation was not strictly that they were illegal, but they weren't appropriate. And that's where I maybe step back a little bit. My practice with both city councils and with the Urban Renewal Agency Commission has been to try to guide you in what's legal and let you make decision on policy issues. You're in those positions essentially through the democratic process. You're not elected, but you are appointed to these positions by elected people, and they confirm your presence here. And those are the people who make the policy level decisions. You decide what's appropriate, you decide what's wise. I pull you back when it's not legal. These projects were legal. Whether they were wise is probably something that reasonable people could disagree on. I want to make it clear that we don't have anything to apologize for, and we don't have anything as an agency to explain away as being illegal, including those particular projects that were called out. And then, Dave, I know you've got potentially some questions you gave me the heads up on. I'm happy to answer questions that maybe were of concern to you that came out of that hearing, or other discussions around urban renewal activity that were potentially problematic.
Mr. Chairman, is it okay if I go? So, thanks for that update and that clarification of what was then and what is now. And if you look at those projects that you stated, gosh, I was scratching my head on the batting cages, and I think once I did my own ROA and ROI on that and took that to the meeting with us over at the airport, and we discussed that, I think that project cleared itself in 10, 12 years. So I think just some of that was my apprehension, but I appreciate you bringing us up to date on that. So I've got a couple I got a few questions here that I need your opinion on, and just some things that didn't set well with me at City Council, in December City Council, some things that were said by a couple of City Council people. It was stated at City Council in December that this central URA, is that what we're calling it, the Garden District over here, was shoved through. Our vendors hired like ArchNexus and Zions Bank were told that they need to take this seriously. Mr. Hilty, you've updated us and discuss, can you update us and discuss any deadlines that we faced with this URA and be clear about work ethics and due diligence that were completed by these, for this project by these vendors? Can you speak to any of that?
Certainly, I can speak to, there's a statutory process for creating one, and there are a couple of bookends on that timeline to be aware of. The feasibility study, as we know, can't get started until there's certain tax information available from the county, and that's usually available sometime in March. And so you've got a very fundamental part of the process that would need to start in March of any particular year, or could not start before that. In calculating the base assessment roll, you use the January 1st property values of the year in which the agency is created. And that base assessment roll is important for the feasibility study. So you started in March earliest, but you got to get it done by the end of the year. And so that's the time frame when we're looking at creating an urban renewal area that, from a broad sense, those are our parameters. This one had been discussed and contemplated for many years, that north area needed some urban renewal activity. The boundary of it, as I recall, was a topic of discussion all spring about where exactly are we going to draw the lines. I think that was resolved in late May or early June. Once we had the boundary, then we could start with the feasibility study. The information, of course, from the county on the taxes was in place. And so it was in June or July that Zions and Nexus got started with that feasibility study. That was a very different feasibility study. It was very robust in terms of public engagement, in terms of the analysis, looking at the projects. It was different than what we had done in the past. Everything we did in the past complied with the statute. I think this went a step further. I worked with, primarily with ArchNexus, but a little bit with Zions Bank, with Michael through that process. I believe that they took it very seriously. I think the work product that they produced would show that. But nonetheless, that process had to come to an end because we had to have a final, at least draft plan to start what is more of a formal processing. So it went to the City Council, it went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then back to City Council for the final action. And there are some timeframes around getting that done. But I think they were 10 weeks approximately in crafting the feasibility study and involving people at that time. And so it might have felt at the end that it was a little bit rushed because we did have a year-end deadline for council action. But I think the guts of it really, in terms of what we were doing as an agency, really I think came out in that feasibility study and the development of the feasibility study and the public involvement.
Okay, thank you for that. December City Council meeting, there were ideas and suggestions made by City Council member of matching funds, community development grants, and it was even asked of Robin Collins to make a spot decision to take $800,000 of current community development funds and put these funds towards, bring these funds forward immediately. It seems like without prior consideration or discussion of current city projects with that money, budgets and allocations towards already spoken for projects, and make funds available immediately, what kind of a financial mess or what kind of a liability, not to mention the putting, I just don't like putting people on the spot like they did, like it was done to Robin Collins or we do it to Raylyn North, to make decisions like that instantaneously online in front of the world. What's the liability? What's the repercussion of doing things like that?
Yeah, I don't know that there's, it's hard, liability questions are always hard to kind of think through because they arise in circumstances that are hard to foresee. I don't know that there's a significant liability, but there is a possibility for misunderstandings.
Right.
And for subsequent decision makers, primarily the city council, to feel like something that was said imposed a limit or gave the public the notion there was going to be a limit or there was going to be some funds available that maybe aren't. I can only speak to it more generically as staff. One incident comes to mind, but I was put on the spot for a legal opinion without any prior notice.
Yeah.
That's awkward, and usually I won't answer that, potentially if there is some liability that may arise for the city. I assume that it can be similarly awkward in other ways for, your finance staff to try to determine whether there's funds available or not available. Ultimately, it's a decision that the council has to make based on, their budgeting process.
Okay. There were also statements made in that December city council meeting that this is not an appropriate project for URA. This is not usually done this way for this kind of a project, and I'm not trying to put any words in anybody's mouth. I watched that video. I stood here and watched it. I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth or throw anybody under a bus. But I guess I'm just curious. Were there any city council members that approached you about these concerns prior to that December meeting? Your staff, I mean, did they have any ideas? It seems like we're showing up to these meetings, people are showing up to these meetings, and we ask questions that are designed to trip up folks, designed to create more of an issue or a drama, in my observation. And I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I don't know that I can speak to, the motive behind the question. Mm-hmm. It did, I don't remember a council member coming in and talking to me about it. I remember the issue came up, the first I remember hearing about sort of the appropriate use of urban renewal was from, he was just here and presented to you. Roger Brooks. Roger Brooks. Mm-hmm. He offered, I think, the opinion that urban renewal should not be used for building roads and sidewalks and street lighting and the kind of infrastructure projects that we have proposed in the central area, or parks for that matter, that it needed to be used as a tool to attract new businesses and new jobs and be an economic driver in that sense. And he didn't see largely the central areas fulfilling that role. I think it was clear in the conversation I participated with him in and the letter that he wrote that he wasn't suggesting that it was illegal. He was just saying the city should be doing that with general city funds. Let's use our urban renewal horsepower for something else. And he's entitled to that opinion, as would be right. You guys and the council members. I'm going to give you now the legal answer, right, on the appropriateness of it. The state legislature has defined deteriorated or deteriorating areas, what that means, and has said that those areas are appropriate for urban renewal activity. So when I look at this, that's kind of a threshold for me. Is it deteriorated or deteriorating? And that's not a decision I make. That's a decision that the city council has to make. And so we presented that definition with the findings of the characteristics of that central area in June or July, because you can't start the process unless the area is deteriorated or deteriorating. It must be that, or the urban renewal project's not appropriate. And not appropriate meaning not legal. There's no need or reason for it, right? It's designed to address that. And when you read the definition of deteriorating or deteriorated, urban blight is central to that definition. So to me, based on the statutory definitions, I think urban renewal activity is appropriate in that area.
Yeah, well, you missed his presentation because he was talking about sidewalks, crosswalks, and how we can, did he not, or was I assuming something? Okay, he did. She witnessed it too.
Yeah.
So.
He made a comment about saying initially, I was against this, but it makes sense for this area.
Okay. Well, and
yeah,
on that topic, I begged off from your chairman before that started. I had an emergency burn-in this afternoon that I needed to address. I fully intended to be here for that presentation, so my apologies to all of you.
Yeah, you can watch it online. So my last question is this. Was there any part of this proposed or approved URA, this central one, this one over here, the Garden District, do we call it the central one now? Is that what we're calling it?
It's the Caldwell Central.
Caldwell Central URA?
Yeah.
Is any part of that out of URA compliance, URA law, or any other pending issue by any other URA legal standards that you can see of?
No.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all the questions I have.
Are you going?
No, go ahead.
Okay, Julie?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just a couple of things. You know, I've been, Mr. Porter and I have been on the commission, I think, longer than most of the rest of these people, and we were there during the projects that may have seemed inappropriate. And you explained it exactly correctly. We did what we needed to do at that time to finish what we started. And they were perfectly appropriate. They benefit members of the community. So I have no problem with that, and I would have no problem explaining that to someone. And number two, if everybody will recall, people said the same thing about the North Urban Renewal area, that it was rushed through, because it was also approved the last city council meeting of a year. But like you said, that's the way that works. You know, you can't start until you have a base assessment, and then you have to do all of the steps. And sometimes it just takes that long. So in my opinion, probably people that don't care for urban renewal or don't think it's a good way to make things happen are always going to say that, because probably our timeline is always going to be at the end of a year. And people need to understand that we're not pushing things through. That's how long it takes to do it.
Thank you, Julie. Chris?
I'll try to be quick. Going back to the urban renewal area with the county and the wall. So if I'm understanding this right, Mark, Oscar has to get something in front of the council? Or is
You're talking
that-
about the fairgrounds project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to close, it's city-owned property, I'm wanting to close it. Whether we build a wall, we don't build a wall, it needs to be closed. But it sounds to me like if it's going to the council, Oscar has to be involved? Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, I think a resolution makes sense for the council to consider. My understanding is that Diana was gonna come and get on the agenda and pitch that, and I'm sure that's probably still her plan. I will reach out to her and Oscar, and we'll talk about what action needs to be taken by the city council, and yes,
Okay,
I would
you know,
defer to
And
Oscar.
I'm just wanting to clarify because you said it has to go before council, and understand that that's Oscar, and so I was just trying to connect those two to understand what needs to happen, because, you know, whether we modify Gabiola Field or not, we're reaching an end point here, and if Oscar's got to be involved in that, maybe he's got to be up to speed, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm happy to take the lead on that and try to get that moving toward council.
Okay.
I mean, I take the lead by reaching out to Oscar and making sure that he knows
Yeah,
what's.
and I was just trying to put, because I don't think we would bring it to council. It would be an Oscar thing, and so that's what I was going for.
Thanks, Chris. Dave?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a statement I'd like to read here with Mark standing here from that December meeting, and our vendors, Adam Keith with ArchNexus and Michael Keith with Zions Bank. I'd like to issue a statement of apology on behalf of myself for the treatment that they received that night. I thought it was unfair. I thought it was unprofessional. I thought it was rude, and I was embarrassed. The idea that these two professionals who are very well known for their work in the community were not talked to seriously. They were accused of shoving things through, did not complete their proper due diligence with other county officials. I guess they didn't make a phone call and clear everything with the courthouse. I guess you can get all that stuff online. I don't know. It seemed to me like we were just trying to throw a rock and trip somebody up. I thought both people are very well respected in their professions, and I was embarrassed at how their work was critiqued, questioned, and designed to trip them up or maybe even ridicule them. I don't know why we can't work together. And I mean, if somebody, two people on council said that they did not, they were going to vote for it, but they didn't like the project. They didn't think it was an appropriate use of it, but they still voted for it. That to me is, I'm beside myself. If you don't like it, then why don't you come up with something else or another idea? Tell us how we're gonna pull all this money from the existing city budgets and not stress out the rest of the city or forget or create another land that time forgot somewhere else in the city. So, I apologize to them. I think they do good work. They're very well known for their work, and I was embarrassed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Brings us to our commissioner reports. Anything, Ms. Warwick? No. Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just give the commission an update. I've been sitting here texting with Diana Sinner and the mayor, so the wheels are in motion to get this before council.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cole?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Allgood? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, growing up here in the 70s and 80s, it was not a safe place right down here. None of it was. It was gladiator school. I went to prom 1985, and I had to crawl underneath the car so I didn't get beat up. And that was at the Saratoga. And this gentleman here to my right came in, and he helped cure a lot of that. And I don't think people understand the bravery, the things that he did when he was in charge. He did a lot of great things for this area, and we're able to walk around by the thousands now and not get molested, attacked, or hijacked. So I appreciate it, Chris.
Oh, thank you, appreciate that very much. And just kind of, 2006, we made the cover of USA Today for the violence we had in the North End. We had a murder in the middle of the day, and we were on the cover of USA Today for the amount of violence we had in the North End. And what we're doing now is a big difference.
All right. It's a great story. Certainly, I think I'm speaking for everybody. We want to express our appreciation again to Brad for his service with us for 4 years. Did a great job. He learned a lot, and he learned how to moderate some of his strong opinions over 4 years, and did a great job for us. Really, really good job. And of course, Stephen. I've known Stephen since 2008 when he was still an intern at Boise State, and watched him grow in his professional career. He's quite a young man, and we wish him well, and we wish he would not have left us in this position. but he has, and we will find the right person to fill those shoes. At this point, we need a motion to go into executive session to consider some things. We have a motion by Ms. Warwick. Very good.
Mr. Chairman, we need to state the motion as it's indicated in the agenda.
A motion to enter into an executive session pursuant to Idaho Code Section 74-206, subsections 1F and 1D, for the purpose of communicating with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated, and to consider records that are exempt from disclosure as provided in Chapter 1, Title 74 of Idaho Code. Do we have a second?
I made the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
I did.
Mr. Moore, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thanks, gentlemen.